I went there not to learn anything, I went just because it was exciting. But it was the first time I really got to see, on a daily basis, an artist at work. He would come in every afternoon. He had a 4 by 8 foot work table, and he would experiment. I would see him making decisions, trying this, trying that, a series of decisions. And it was the first time I got a taste of aesthetic thinking. The other thing that I'm not sure I got from him, but at least felt a connection to, was that he had a kind of distanced delight in our culture. He took real pleasure. What I mean by distanced delight was that he took real pleasure in it, but didn't buy into it. And I think there was something in that I connected with. The work that I did at the factory was first published in a catalog published by a museum in Stockholm, the Moderna Museet, a large catalog of his work. And the editor of the catalog was a young curator named Casper Koenig, who's now the director of the Ludwig Museum. And we met in a loft in Soho, and when we finished editing my section of the catalog, he said, I have something to show you. And on the floor of the loft, he spread out Ed Ruscha's book, Sunset Strip. And this was the fourth event that I think of as a formative event. It really blew my mind to see Ruscha's work. I immediately went to a bookstore in Madison Avenue called Wittenborn and bought every Ruscha book. It was an extraordinary eye-opening experience. So let's get back to my work. After leaving the factory, I started experimenting with conceptually based sequences. This is one I'm going to show you called Circle Number 1, done in 1969. I'm describing a circle. At the bottom of each image is the direction I'm facing. And this whole series of sequences culminated in 1971 in a show at the Metropolitan Museum. And as sometimes happens, or I've actually found often happens, having a show brought that work to an end. It kind of finished it off. And I was looking for new directions to go. And that year I was involved, 71, in 3 projects, all involving the vernacular uses of photography. One was a show I curated at a space in New York called the 98 Green Street Loft, owned by a gallerist named Holly Solomon. And this is photographs that 2 friends of mine and I had collected, all different kinds of uses of photography. It included newspaper photographs. This is a particularly grisly one that Warhol had given me from his collection, a huge collection of press pictures. Publicity stills, pornography, police photographs, snapshots, and postcards. The next project I did that year was a set of postcards. I went to Amarillo, Texas, where I'd been spending a lot of time, and did postcards of the 10 highlights of Amarillo. This is the American National Bank building. some of them just looked like absolutely average postcards, the kind of thing you would typically see a postcard of. The other half were of kind of quirky local places like the Capitol Hotel. You really wouldn't see a postcard of this place. And so the idea was that I would play off the genre of the postcard. And I was convinced that the New York art world wanted postcards of Amarillo, Texas more than anything. And in a fit of delusion, it had 56,000 printed. And Wittenborn, the bookstore that sold the Rocher books, put up a postcard rack to sell them and didn't sell a single one. I still have boxes of them. So in my future trips around the country, what I would do is, the cards don't say on the back what city they're from. This just says Doubleday on the back, or this one just says Doug's Barbecue. I would stuff them in postcard racks all over the country because they were kind of generic postcards. Now this is an interesting card because I had them printed by Dexter Press, who was the largest printer of postcards in America at the time. And if you look at the building, you'll see it's on an overcast day, but the sky is blue. It's because the picture had an overcast sky, and Dexter Press refused to print a card without a blue sky. They just couldn't bring themselves to do it, and they painted the sky blue. And there's also a picture of the courthouse in Amarillo, and in the middle of the summer in the Texas Panhandle, it hasn't rained for months, the grass is yellow. And I got the cards back, and the grass was green. The third project that year was called the Micomatics. These were snapshots made with a camera called a Micomatic, a plastic head of Mickey Mouse about this big with a lens in his nose. For some reason, whenever I did a portrait of someone, they were smiling. And so, again, these were printed by Kodak. I sent them to my local camera store. These were Kodak-made prints. And like the postcards, they're playing off of the genre of the snapshot. They're both kind of an homage to the spontaneity that sometimes one finds in a snapshot, but also often in subjects like that bush or the suitcase that you really wouldn't find in a snapshot. And this was the project, of all of those three that year, this was the one that interested me most and led to further work. I wanted to continue making snapshots, but I wanted a camera with better optics than the Micomatic. So I got a camera called a Rolling 35, which was kind of a precursor to a point and shoot. It was a good camera, a decent lens, but looked like something an amateur would have. So if I took pictures of people, one thing I learned from the Micomatic is the camera you use affects their reaction. So I just wanted casual portraits when I was doing portraits. I wanted a camera that was unpreprocessing. Anyway, this was the beginning of a series in '72 called American Surfaces. A lot of it was a trip across America where I was essentially keeping a visual diary. It culminated in a show at Light Gallery in New York in the fall of '72. They were hung as a grid, 3 rows high, covering 3 walls of a small room. To emphasize that these were snapshots, they were unframed, unmatted, they were pasted on the wall with double-sided tape.